Hi guys, my name is Marissa, also known as Homemaking with Marissa on YouTube as well as on Instagram. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through some of the items that I will be food prepping for the upcoming fall season. I do not have enough space in my house to have a true prepper pantry. However, I do like to stock up on items in my freezer and do some batch cooking prior to school starting every year. I'm going to take you through the items that I found at Costco to stock up on, as well as showing a couple of different recipes, including a shepherd's pie that I will bake in large batches and freeze, and some pasta sauce that I will be making in large batches and freezing. We were given a number of different tomatoes from a couple of different friends and family members' gardens, so I'm going to take those and transfer them into a pasta sauce. If you're new to my channel and haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit the red subscribe button and join my little YouTube community. I am going to start by flipping the camera around. You might be able to tell it's very dark in the background of this video. It's actually the middle of the day. I live in Oregon and there are several wildfires going on currently. My house is not currently in a evacuation zone, but a lot of surrounding areas are in evacuation zones. So there is a lot of smoke in the air and it's very dark outside. If you have seen any of my clean and decorate videos for my fall decor, you will be able to tell the difference in what my backyard looked like a couple of days ago versus what it looks like today. All of this is just ash. The wind has also been going at about 40 miles an hour. So we took all of our decor down. We were not anticipating it all getting covered in ash, or we would have brought it in the house. But it didn't actually blow off of the house. We took it off so that they wouldn't blow off and get broken. This is just so, I don't know, it's minor obviously compared to all of the people that are losing their homes. It's just unreal. I've never seen anything like this in this area before. Here's the overview of everything that I picked up. I went to our local bulk food store, Costco, and a local butcher shop. I'll go through and explain everything that I picked up. So for snacks, I got these That's It bars for the kids. So each of these only have 2 ingredients. There is strawberry, mango, and blueberry flavored. These are compared to like a fruit leather or fruit snacks, but they have far fewer ingredients, so I like getting those for the kids. Anyone who has ever seen a grocery haul of mine knows that my kids are obsessed with bars. So we got the large pack of the variety Z bars. My husband and I put almond milk into our coffee, and then I also use it to make smoothies. I bought 2 boxes. Each box contains 6 containers of almond milk, pretzels. I thought that the kids would like these. They're just mini shelf-stable pancakes. This is a giant thing of Pirate's Booty. My teenage son uses the shampoo, so I bought that for him. Maple syrup. I'm going to be making homemade tomato sauce. So I bought this tomato paste to help thicken it up, some organic tortilla chips, this variety pack of jerky. My children like to have that as a snack. Bananas, they didn't have any organic bananas, and organic fruit in general was pretty limited at my Costco, so these are just conventional bananas. And I realized when I got to the car, I don't know where it was at, one of them is like rotten. So I was trying to just kind of get in and get out quickly. This large thing of coffee, tortilla shells. Costco has the best deal on flour tortillas, so I always try to get them there. Olives, peanut butter pretzels, these popcorners, diced tomatoes. There were not very many canned food options at my Costco. We have wildfires going on, so a lot of people were stocking up in anticipation of, I think, losing power. There just was not a lot of canned goods available. This pancake mix came from my local bulk food store, as well as granulated garlic, granulated onion. I like using the Chosen Foods avocado oil, and Costco has by far the best price on that. Kerrygold butter. My son wanted Chinese food. My teenage son was with me, so he picked this out and thought that that looked good. We don't have a microwave, and a lot of the foods that are convenient foods like this at Costco seem to require a microwave, so this was one that had instructions to cook it alternatively. These vitamins, I am not abundantly picky on which vitamins I get my kids. I just try to find a multivitamin and then a probiotic that they take daily. This Better Than Bouillon beef base. I'll use this to flavor different casseroles or dishes. I also have the chicken one already in my refrigerator. A large thing of refried beans. I'm going to be making some freezer burritos that I like to stick in the air fryer. I got that for that recipe. 2 things of applesauce pouches, 2 containers of chicken noodle soup. I freeze these, so I will just put one of these in the refrigerator, separate the other 2 and put them in the freezer. And then this salami, I do the same thing. So this is actually 2 different packages. I will just cut it in half and then put both of those in the freezer until we're ready to use them. And then this is what I picked up from the butcher shop. So this is all ground pork. This is bacon. My kids like having bacon on for breakfast on the weekends in the morning. So I will just individually package this into 1 meal portions and then stick it into our deep freeze. And then I also bought some local ground beef, as well as freezer containers, or excuse me, freezer bags. I will use this to portion out the bacon and then also to freeze some pasta sauce. Here is what it all looks like. We are going to start by portioning out our bacon. This comes in a large box and has sheets of butcher paper between each layer. I'm just going to separate a couple of layers and stick it into a Ziploc bag. I have shared on my channel before, but I have 3 boys ranging in age from 3 to 16 years old. So on the weekends, we will use one of these packages of bacon and cook it up for the kids for a special treat. After I went through and individually packaged this entire box, I moved on to making our pasta sauce. To make our sauce, we're just going to be using fresh tomatoes, carrots, celery, onion, garlic, some oil, and herbs. I like to chop up large carrots. I don't bother peeling the skin off of them. I'm just going to cut them into smaller sections, as well as our celery. I don't worry about the order that I put the vegetables on. I just try to get them in somewhat uniform chunks as I'm roasting them in the oven. Once I have chopped up the carrots and the celery, I'm just going to move on to our onion, remove the skin, and then cut it into same size chunks that I used for the celery and the carrots. You can see that I'm wearing a dress in the background of this video. That's going to be a little bit of a sneak peek at what my fall capsule wardrobe looks like. I will be sharing my full 10-item fall capsule wardrobe in Friday's video. If you're new to my channel and haven't subscribed, I make lifestyle videos here on YouTube, things like cooking videos. I share capsule wardrobe tips, parenting advice, as well as cleaning motivation. If this is something that you're interested in, I would love it if you would join my community by subscribing to my channel. I separated this into 2 different sheet pans. On our first sheet pan, we have a combination of carrots, celery, onion, garlic. I sprinkled it with olive oil, salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. On our second sheet, I just have garden ripe tomatoes with salt, pepper, and olive oil. I'm going to place both of these into a 400-degree oven for 45 minutes. I'm going to remove these vegetables from the roasting pan and transfer them into a separate container. Half of these vegetables will be used to make our pasta sauce. The other half will be reserved for our shepherd's pie. Next, I'm going to remove the skin and the stems from our tomatoes and transfer them into a high-powered blender. I pulsed the tomatoes and then added half of the vegetables, along with some fresh basil leaves, some salt, some pepper, and 1 tube of tomato paste. This particular seasoning comes from a spice shop in Bend, Oregon. You could use any Italian seasoning though. This has a combination of herbs, and I believe that it has some sort of cheese base as well, but any sort of Italian seasoning that you pick up at the grocery store would also work. I also am showing that I squirted that tomato paste all over the front of my shirt, which is why you need to wear an apron. So it's actually several days later. When I was filming the first part of this, my phone kept going off with evacuation alerts and just updating the areas where people needed to leave their homes. So I decided to just stick that sauce in the refrigerator and talk to my husband if we did have to evacuate. My kids are fighting. If we did have to evacuate, where we were gonna go, and which we still at no point felt unsafe in the area that we live in, but we just wanted to make sure that we were doing our due diligence and being prepared if it got to that point. I also haven't shared a lot about what I do. I have mentioned multiple times that I work part-time, but I haven't gone into a lot of detail about what I do. I will be working with all of my specific clients that have been displaced, have lost property, have lost structure, vehicles, any of their content that's been lost. I'm going to be helping them with getting that repaired or replaced. So that will definitely be taking up a lot more time. I'll be working more than I had initially planned. And school in my area has been pushed back. So the kids were supposed to go back to school on Monday, but the school district has decided to push that back a week. I am just going to continue today with making the shepherd's pie, and I will take you through the items in my outdoor freezer as well as my indoor freezer and just explain some of the items that I do keep prepared and ready for the fall. Some of these items are the shepherd's pies because I'm making so many of them. I'm going to see if I can get in contact with some of my clients that have been displaced and see if they have any way to reheat food and maybe donate some of this to them, because I can always make more for my family. I'm kind of in a funk. I'm really feeling awful for all of these people that have been directly impacted by these fires and have lost all of their belongings and their home and their cars. And it's just, I know that it's just stuff, but it's so unbelievably devastating to listen to person after person telling their stories and just seeing how resilient these people are and how high their spirits are given their situation is just unbelievably humbling. Anyway, I will stop rambling and get on with the food prep.
It might be.
I often get questions about whether or not I really have children because I don't show their faces in my video. So here's proof. I really do have kids and they are always willing to help me out in the kitchen. This is my 3-year-old son who is helping me transfer 5 pounds of peeled and diced potatoes into a pot of boiling water. I'm now going to take 5 pounds of ground turkey. I get this in packs at Costco, remove it from the packaging, and start to fry it up into a skillet. Once our ground turkey is fully cooked through, I'm going to take the rest of those roasted vegetables, add them into our meat mixture. I didn't feel like this had quite enough vegetables for that amount of meat, so I decided to go through my freezer and add some frozen vegetables that I had. This is a combination of peas, corns, green beans, lima beans, and carrots. Though any frozen vegetables that you have would work perfectly fine in this recipe. I've made it with just corn before, I've made it with just peas before, just carrots. Anything that you have on hand will work perfectly in this recipe. Once I got all of the frozen vegetables out of the package and got them mixed into the meat, I then moved on to making our sauce. I am going to be using this Better Than Beef bouillon that came from Costco. I'm using about 1/4 cup for this amount of meat, as well as Worcestershire sauce. I used about half of this bottle of Worcestershire sauce and mixed everything up until the meat was really well coated in the sauce. I have made this dish with ground beef, I've made it with ground chicken, and in today's recipe I'm making it with ground turkey. All of them taste perfectly fine. I find that by adding the beef bouillon and the Worcestershire sauce, it brings out some of that beef flavor regardless of what ground meat you're actually using. Lamb is a little bit harder to come by in the United States, so that's why I'm not using that for this particular dish, even though that is standard for a shepherd's pie. Now I'm just going to move on to making our mashed potatoes. I keep mashed potatoes really simple. I'm just adding butter, salt, pepper, and milk, and then mashing them up. These salt and pepper containers came from the Chip and Joanna Gaines line at Target. They are still available. The apron that I'm wearing, it came from Amazon. It came in a 3-pack with the apron that I was wearing earlier in this video. My dress came from Target last year. I'm curious what type of things you guys put into your mashed potatoes. I know that some people put sour cream, some people use whole milk, some people use cream, some people put sour cream in them. If you have a unique way of making mashed potatoes or some secret ingredient that you use, go ahead and comment that down below. Once the potatoes are really well mashed, I'm going to move on to assembling our shepherd's pie. I'm going to put the meat mixture in the bottom of the pan and then top it with the mashed potatoes. Oftentimes these aluminum pans are very expensive. If you get them at the grocery store, you can spend as much as $4 or $5 for one tray. I've bought them at the dollar store before, but they're not very high quality there. I found these at the same local restaurant supply store that I shared items from my haul earlier. They work out to be about 35 cents per tray when I buy them there. So if you have a restaurant supply store in your area that you're able to go to, I would definitely check there if you're looking to find things like this at a better price point. I'm just going to dump the remaining liquid that was in our pan and evenly distribute that between the 3 dishes. And if you've watched my videos for a while, you know I don't normally have a giant computer monitor in my kitchen, but COVID has created some really unique times for us. So I currently have a classroom in my living room and a home office in part of my kitchen. This is a really bizarre time for everyone, but we're just making do with the space that we have. going to just evenly distribute these mashed potatoes on the top of our dish. These were not going super well. It's very hard to smear mashed potatoes with one hand and hold a camera with the other. But if you've made shepherd's pie before, you know that it's just the meat and vegetable mixture on the bottom and then the potatoes on the top.
I had enough mixture to make 3 shepherd's pies. These are actually cottage pies because I'm not using lamb. But ideally I would have had a little bit more of the mashed potato mixture. We're just making do with what we have. And then I did sprinkle a small amount of grated cheddar cheese on the top. I'm just going to cover these with aluminum foil, label them, and then I will stick them into the freezer. Initially, my plan was to just freeze the sauce. I decided instead to make a couple of additional freezer meals. This is a pizza pasta recipe that I already have on my channel. I will link that in a card above. Here's where I store all of my freezer meals. I just keep them in the door freezer inside the house. I try to make at least one additional meal each week, so I'll just make a double batch of something and freeze half of it in these aluminum pans. We also have a bunch of mixed berries for smoothies, the tortillas. We keep a ton of extra bread, English muffins, buns, and freeze that, as well as butter. And then I've talked about this before, but I always keep my flour in the freezer. It just helps it last longer. And this bag right here is for vegetable scraps. So I will make vegetable broth out of the scraps from my vegetables when I'm cooking. These are the items. So we have this little deep freeze. I keep a combination of different ground meats. We have pork, breakfast sausage, ground beef. I put the packages of turkey and the salami in here. My kids are fighting. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. I made all of these loaves of zucchini bread and zucchini muffins. I froze all of those. The zucchini came from a family member's garden. And then down there, you can't see because it's really dark, but it's all the bacon that I packaged up, some ground turkey from Costco, some chicken thighs from Costco, that's ground. Those are hamburger patties. And then this is all local fish and meat from the butcher shop. I know that this was a little bit all over the place. I started the week with one intent in mind, and as the week and life progressed, things had to shift. But this is the beauty of having something like a prepper pantry in place. You can not only make sure that you're helping your family, but if you hear of a need of someone else that arises, you're able to step in and provide something to hopefully lighten their load a little bit and make their day or week a little bit easier. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification so that you don't miss when I upload. That is going to conclude our video for today. I am going to leave in my description box down below a way to donate to the Red Cross. If you feel that your family is able to monetarily contribute to the people that have been impacted in the state of Oregon by wildfires, I would really appreciate that. I know that my community would really appreciate that. So again, I will leave the information in my description box below about how you can make a donation if you feel so inclined. I hope that you are all staying happy and healthy. Bye.
If you would like to watch an additional video that I filmed, I have 2 of them for you on the left side of your screen. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face on the right side of your screen.